Welcome to more of an instructional video in Switch Sports Golf about how I play as an infinite rated player. So you can see that I have my infinite 0 rating here. We have a lobby of a couple of S-rated players. But a lot of times people think that ranking up in this game is about hitting ridiculous shots through crazy wind, making ridiculous shots, but that's not really the case. So I'm just going to go through a single game here and explain my thought process and how I play, and just my approach to every single hole in this online mode. So here we have 24-mile-an-hour winds, pushing up into the left on hole 5. So this, right away, I am calling this a reachable par 5. So I have to keep that in mind. I can put this safely left of that pine tree. There's no need to cut anything super close here. We can let the wind push that pretty far to the left, safely over all those trees, safely left of that pine tree. That's just a super safe drive. I know the wind is going to push that really far in that direction, and now we have a nice shot to try to reach this green here. So it turns into more crosswind on the second shot, but my alignment is really, really close to the green, so I think it can bounce up there no problem. So I want to aim this considerably right because the wind is going to push it super far left, and I just want to be on this green anywhere. That's the goal. I'm just trying to make the eagle. I don't think anyone's necessarily going to have an easy eagle putt or an easy eagle chip if they miss the green, so making the green is extremely important here. So we're going to take our time, send it up there with a nice full driver. That should move considerably left, and we're going to be on a nice line, and that should bounce up there, and we'll have a makeable eagle putt. Okay, so we're 16 feet away. We have a little bit of side hill, but that's fine. That's something that I'm a little more used to. It's a little uphill as well, but I just have to hit this with the proper power. Don't have to blast it through the break or anything, just have to hit it a little bit harder than I typically would, and aim it considerably left, and if I do that, it should have a good chance at falling. That was the proper putt, and it'll fall. So there's not a ton to it. Like, I just kind of recognized that that was a reachable par 5. Not a lot of people were going to reach it in 2 because people just kind of, blast a shot out there to wherever. But if you approach the hole as a holistic plan, it becomes a lot easier to put yourself in a good spot to make the putt. And let's see if anyone else eagled here. So we do see one eagle there, other than me, and a couple birdies. So a good lobby that we have here. This should be pretty competitive, and we'll keep walking through what exactly the plan is going to be. So we see some more difficulty here on hole 6. So how do we approach this one? I noticed that the pin was in the very back of the green. So if I zoom into the green map, right away you have to think about where the pin is because that's so important on hole 6. So if it's in the back of the green, I can use the little alley of trees on the right side. So I want to aim this still very far to the right because the wind is going to push this way left. But if I hit this with the proper power, we should give ourselves a nice gap through the trees to hit just a pretty straightforward approach shot. So the trees are going to be kind of straight ahead, but I want to put it right of the trees anyway and give it a chance. Oh, is that actually going to be okay? I hope so. Can we still aim this right of the trees? I think so. So we can aim it out to there, and that'll give it a shot. All right. Not the easiest shot here, but that is going to be pretty good aim. I probably want to hit this about 3.8 dots of power. That feels about right. Aim it out to there, and just try to put this one pretty close. So just want to put it on the green, make it a makeable putt. Let's try that out.
Nice shot.
Okay, I left that one a little short of where I wanted to, but that should actually be kind of fine. So it makes it around those trees nicely. And this is not going to be a very easy putt, but it's difficult conditions here for sure. So it's going to be a 40-footer, a little side hill. But this is one that I just want to try to put really close and give a shot. So if I aim it out to there, I know it's going to move considerably to the right. I just have to try to hit this with a little over pin high power, so a little over 2.5 dots should be pretty good. We'll try that out. And we'll see if that can sneak down to the right and fall. So putting is so key a lot of the time, because you don't always end up in the proper spot. But once you get the putting down and you can, really think about how the ball is going to move. I really just visualize it. I don't do anything super technical. I just visualize how I think the ball should roll and just try to replicate that with the actual shot. Because you can aim it with that blue line exactly where you want to. And you can, once you get the stroke down, once you get the motion down, usually hit it with the proper power. And when you do that, oftentimes it just works. So we'll pick up the birdie there on a tougher hole 6. I've already seen a whole bunch of bogeys from the lobby here, and maybe a couple double bogeys. Okay, so we were the only birdie there, and there were no other pars either. So bogey was the best other score. But making the birdie there gives me a nice gap in that, or a nice buffer on that scoreboard. So I have a 5-point gap here, which is nice, because now even an eagle to a birdie, which is a 4-point gap, that's 14 to 10, doesn't catch me. So that feels good. It's always nice to build up those gaps early. And we'll see another difficult condition here. So this is actually a really good seed to try to walk through this mental approach to it. So we have hole 13. A lot of wind from right to left. Now sometimes the play here with this pin is to club up to the spoon and try to roll it up there with it. But with this wind, that feels a little too risky. Now the wind isn't pushing us forward at all, so I know roughly the power I need. A little over 3 dots, right about there should be good for the power. And I just need to aim this well to the right. But not super far, because I don't want to end up right of the pin. I want to leave this safely left. Because if someone makes this, good on them. I just want my birdie. I'm going for the birdie here. I want to put it pretty close to the pin, but not like over adjust it right. So this aim feels pretty good. I'll hit it with the power that I would with no wind, because it's pushing straight left. And we'll just hit the shot. And that's exactly what I want it to do. So just leave it left of the pin, safely on the green. It'll roll back, and we'll have a very makeable putt on the safe side of the green. So a lot of times you can approach this like real golf. Like, where is the nice miss? Where is the good spot to putt from? I can give myself a super easy birdie on a hole that isn't necessarily easy with all that wind. And we'll move on to the next hole. So I wasn't going super aggressively to try to make that shot. I just wanted to get my birdie. And when you see wind like that, you kind of think no one else is going to hole it out. And if they do, then good on them, because it's not going to happen super often in the long run. So we'll move on to our 4th hole out of 5 here. We'll see if we can get some additional nice conditions to walk through. Nice conditions being difficult conditions, because that's kind of what I want to see here. And we'll see. Okay. Hole 14 with maybe a little bit of wind. Not too bad, I don't think. So this is one of the easier holes that we've seen so far. And I'll walk through the approach for this one once we see what the actual wind is. 4 miles an hour. Okay. So there's a gap in those trees over there. Right where I'm aiming on the mini-map is right, like, the 0 wind adjustment. There's a little triangle gap in those trees. So I want to aim this just slightly right of that. Very slightly right of that. And we'll hit a little less than a full power drive, because a full power drive clips the further trees. So just a little bit off of it should be perfect. The shot should move a little to the right. And that should be safely in that little tree gap. So it's going to get pushed a little right, and there's the triangle that I was aiming for. Just put it straight through there, bounce it in the rough, and we'll be nicely in the fairway with a nice, safe shot at this green in 2. So this is one that I definitely should be eagling if I'm going to, have the best type of round here. I want to club up and try to just hit this with about pin-high power. That's the goal. I'm not necessarily trying to make it. I'm just trying to give it a chance to get close and maybe hole out. You never know. You may make it. Do we see someone make the albatross? No, that was a chip in for eagle. Okay. So I want to aim this just pin high and just put it near the hole. That's the goal. Nothing too extreme with this, just a little aim to the left. And we should just hit the proper power with some backspin and see if that works. So it's going to move a little right. That should take a nice bounce, and it'll roll back, and it's not going to fall. I mean, you don't need to make that necessarily, unless you're playing in like a super, like best players in the world type of lobby. But even then, a tap-in eagle, most of the time, is going to be a totally fine score. So just taking the correct approach, like I didn't do anything super risky there. Just put it through that tree gap that I know is there, and that's something that you just had to learn over time, that's a pretty safe drive with really light wind. And it gives you a nice second shot to put it close and tap in the eagle from about 4 feet or so. So a nice approach there. We're going to end up with 48 points, so we have 2 eagles and 2 birdies so far. But it's all really just, it just comes down to trying to play each shot correctly. So let's move on to the finals here. We're going to see an interesting hole 9, not the nicest of wins. So right away, my thinking is that I just need to be able to safely get there in 3. There's no need to do anything super crazy on the first or second shot to try to, you know, put yourself in a super nice position. Just be able to get there in 3. 22 miles an hour crosswind is not the nicest, but we just need to aim a little left here, put it safely in the fairway, give ourselves the opportunity to put it down to the bottom part of the fairway to the left down there. And what is the safe shot here going to be? There are always a couple options. If you're close enough to underneath those trees, which we are not, you can just send a straight driver down there. If you have a little more wind in the face, you end up further back and you can hit it over the top of some of those trees with a 3-iron. But here, even though the wind's facing that way, I'm going to just hit a little draw. The draw feels a little risky sometimes until you kind of get used to it. But if you just hit a little 3-dot draw, aim to the right, you can put yourself nicely down there. So this is not necessarily going to be like the greatest of shots, and we're going to end up in the rough. But being in the rough here is kind of fine. It's upwind, almost purely upwind. We can club up to the spoon. And even though we're hitting a spoon, we can't necessarily use backspin. It's fine because we have so much green to work with. So I just want to land this a little bit short of the pin. The wind's going to push it back a bit. And just try to hit this up there and give ourselves a makeable putt. So let's try that out. Just a little less than pin high on the power. Let it bounce and roll out. That should kick. Ooh, is that going to kick in the proper direction? Not necessarily. So we actually have more of a difficult putt here. And that's why you try to give yourselves that buffer early. So this is a side hiller, for sure. Just have to tap it up there and try to get it to fall. So I've given myself some tougher putts here, but this is the approach. I know that this is going to curl around. And it's almost like a mound, so it's going to roll a little like more right than maybe I expect at the end. So I don't want to overdo it with this side hill approach. But let's hit it with about a dot of power, maybe slightly more. Just send it up there and give it a chance to roll down and in. And we leave it short. Now that's totally fine because I have that 5-point gap, and we can just make this putt and pick up the win. So that was a more difficult hole 9. I didn't have the second or the best second shot to leave it in the rough there, but that's just a difficult hole. And as long as you don't blow up and you do your you know, proper shots in the early going through some tougher conditions, it ends up fine. So the goal in the global play to try to reach the infinity rank is just pick up the wins. I mean, everyone else pars there. We saw some good players hit a couple pars in these tougher conditions, but we'll win it by a solid 5 points. And that's the approach to playing like an infinity player in this game. So I hope you enjoyed the more, not quite technical, but more so just approach-based aspect of this video. And I'll try to do some more like this. The seed actually cooperated here. I kind of just logged on, played one, and thought, you know what, I hope I see some tougher conditions to walk through, and we kind of did. So I'll see you in the next video like this.